drive or something in the future.
There we go. And I think you all should see the recording notification there. It's a special meeting or a collaborative meeting with the Friends of Bachman Lake. The reason we're recording is the hope that we can then upload this meeting to the Friends of Bachman Lake Facebook page and all social media, so that more of our neighbors can watch this meeting and all the supporting information it has later on or at their convenience. So with that, I want to introduce the president of the Friends of Bachman Lake, Susanna Brown, who can introduce then our first guest here for tonight's meeting. Hey, Susanna.
Hi, Joe. Hola a todos. Susanna Brown, President, Friends of Bachman Lake. What we've done with Michael Cintron, who is our communications director, is work very closely with two of the major departments and if you will, major neighbors of the park to provide an update to the community on projects in their area. The first department that will be providing an update will be Dallas Water Utilities, and I'll let them introduce themselves. And they're going to discuss the dam reconstruction project and provide us an update on how that is going. And then the second department is going to be the aviation department. That would be Love Field. They're initiating a major effort for like their 20-year planning effort. And I think there are also many questions about the Lemon Avenue Trail. So those will be some of the updates that we have. We want to make sure that we leave enough time for questions from the community. So I'm going to turn it over right now to Mark to kick it off for Dallas Water Utilities. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Mark Cottingham with Dallas Water Utilities. I'm one of the program managers for Dallas Water Utilities, and we have an update for you on Bachman Lake Dam Rehabilitation Project. I'm going to turn it over to Mark Mim, who's going to present today, and he's complemented by Isabel. They're going to do a wonderful presentation on the Bachman Lake Up Dam Rehabilitation Project, both in English and in Spanish.
Thank you, Mark. All right, we're going to start off, like Mark mentioned, this is an update for you for the Bachman Lake Dam and Spillway Reconstruction Project. And Isabel Perez-Rios will be providing the Spanish translation, as we mentioned. Let's go to the agenda. This is what we'll cover on tonight. Introductions on the project team. I'll go through the project timeline. We'll discuss the outcome of the dredging project, which we completed a year ago. I'll give some updates on the dam and spillway rehabilitation project. We'll talk about the trail detour and improvements that have been built to make this project possible, and then provide some additional information to stay informed and to link to our public relations component.
Esta es la agenda de la presentación que vamos a tener el día de hoy. Primero vamos a empezar con las presentaciones, el calendario del proyecto, hablaremos un poco sobre el dragado que finalizó el año pasado, el proyecto de rehabilitación de la presa y el desagüe, el desvío y mejoras del sendero y finalmente cómo mantenerse informado sobre el proyecto.
So our project team is Mark Cunningham started us off. He's the program manager for water facilities, and I'm a project manager. I work for Mark and his group, and I'm the manager for this project. Estella Ornelas is a senior community engagement specialist. She's on the call tonight too, and can be reached at any time if you need any information from a public relations standpoint on the job.
El equipo del proyecto de los servicios de agua de Dallas se compone por Mark Mim, que es el jefe del proyecto, Mark Cottingham, que es el director principal del programa, y Estela Ornelas, que es la especialista principal en la participación comunitaria.
All right, so we're going to play a video now that was produced that explains a project a little bit. It's a good one. It's on our project website.
Sorry, I'm trying to switch to it and have it play.
You have to click on the video itself and the play button.
Yes, just trying to get that screen to show up for me while I'm also sharing. It's just showing it very tiny for me, sorry. I don't know why it's showing it so small. I apologize. I'm not sure I can get it to work, Mark. Sorry.
Okay, we'll skip that.
I don't know why it's not working. Oh, wait, maybe I can get it. Sorry. I think I do have it. I just had the zoom too large. Okay, let's see if this works.
Hi, I'm Mark Mem. I'm a senior engineer with Dallas Water Utilities, and I'm the project manager for the Bachman Lake Dam project. This project has been in the planning stages for a long time. It was a two-part project. The first part was dredging of the Bachman Lake, which we completed in spring of 2023. This next phase is a replacement of the Bachman Lake Dam spillway and major reconstruction of the earthen embankment. The Bachman Dam was built in 1901. It wasn't designed for the kind of storms we have today and the kind of impervious area that's filled in the watershed. So we have much more runoff, the storms are more intense, and we have to replace the spillway to handle it. We'll need to lower the water level in Bachman Lake a couple of feet to allow the contractor to safely work to reconstruct the spillway and also install the riprap below the water level along the earthen embankment of the Bachman Lake Dam. The spillway will be a new type of spillway called a labyrinth weir that will allow much more water to pass safely over the spillway and convey flood events that will protect the public from flooding and also protect the earthen embankment of the dam. The walking path around Bachman Lake is a 5K. It's a little over 3 miles, and it's a very popular walking trail. And we've had to construct a detour because we can't have the public crossing the dam because there's no longer a path. The Bachman Lake Trail detour involves widening of the sidewalk along Denton Drive for a safer passage for the walking public and also cyclists. In addition to that, the northbound lane of the Webb Chapel Road extension was closed off for the public to use for walking and cycling. 2 years from now, in the winter of 2025-2026, there'll be a beautiful new path on top of the dam that the public will surely enjoy. Of course, the Bachman Lake Park is open to the public. We just ask the public to be aware of the construction entrances. There'll be a lot of trucks coming in and out of the site, and just be aware of the construction and enjoy the progress. It's going to take 2 years to do, and it'll be very interesting to see. Please check out our project website. It's called BachmanLakeDam.com. We also have social media posts on other platforms that you can check out. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to reply.
Let's go to the timeline slide, Janet. There you go. All right, so as it was mentioned in the video, this is a 2-year-long construction project for the Bachman Dam and Spillway. But this project started much further back than that. We were completing the design and specifications and bathymetric survey for dredging way back in summer of 2020. We bid that first phase of the project. We started the lake dredging in winter of 21-22. We completed it spring of 2023. And right around then, we bid the work for the dam and spillway work. So that began this past winter. In November was the notice to proceed to the contractor. And we lowered the lake level down a little bit right away so they could start work on the concrete portion of the spillway. In the summer, In fall of 2025, you'll see trail improvements and landscaping that'll be going in as part of the project. And we'll be wrapping up the job in winter of 2025-2026.
Como se mencionó en el video presentado anteriormente, este es el calendario del proyecto Bachman. El proyecto se empezó a planear en el verano del 2020, cuando comenzó la planificación del proyecto, el diseño del dragado y el estudio. En el invierno de 2021-2022 comenzó el dragado del lago y en la primavera del 2023 finalizó el dragado del lago. Durante el invierno del 2023 y 2024 se iniciaron las obras de construcción de la presa y el desagüe, y para el invierno del 2024 se prevé el descenso temporal del nivel del lago varios metros y el desvío del sendero en curso. Para el verano y otoño del 2025 se prevé que comiencen las mejoras en los senderos y el paisajismo. Y para el invierno de 2025-2026 se prevé la finalización de las mejoras en la presa, el desagüe y el sendero, y el nivel del lago volverá a la normalidad. Y en ese momento se planea que se volverá a abrir el sendero al público, que actualmente permanece cerrado, bueno, desviado.
So the dredging work is complete. It was done in the spring of 2023.
El dragado fue finalizado en la primavera del 2023.
So in that work, we removed the equivalent of 15,440 large dump truck loads of sediment. The good news on this is extensive soil testing and chemical testing of that sediment proved that it was outstanding topsoil, and it got snapped up for use by a lot of different entities and companies that produce bagged topsoil and landscaping mix. So it was recycled. We also removed 3,125 tons of debris. Included in that is 2 tons worth of that BMW X3 that were recovered that's sitting on that barge. And we restored the lake level and improved water quality in Bachman Lake.
El dragado que fue completado en la primavera del 2023 contuvo el reciclaje de 15,440 cargas de sedimentos en camiones volquetes. Después de analizar los sedimentos químicamente, eran de buena calidad y pudieron ser utilizados y reciclados en diferentes lugares. También la eliminación de 3,125 toneladas de escombros, incluido el BMW que aparece en la fotografía. Y finalmente la restauración de la profundidad del lago y mejoras en la calidad del agua.
So now let's talk about some of the details that's underway out there on the spillway and dam construction.
Y ahora hablaremos un poco del inicio de la construcción del desagüe y la presa.
So there are several key components to focus on for this part. The first thing is if you see that yellow dashed line around the perimeter, that's that detour route that was put in place before we began any work. And we had to shut down and remove the trail, which is in blue, on top of the dam. We're now working right in that area and the trail's gone. The component we're working on right now is number 1. That's the service spillway for the dam itself, and it'll be constructed as a labyrinth weir. It's kind of that zigzaggedy type structure there. There'll also be a new railroad bridge that'll be built. That railroad bridge is critical to the Bachman water treatment plant to bring chemicals that we need for water treatment. Where number 2 is, that's the long earthen embankment. We're doing major work on that earthen embankment to thicken it and to buttress it and strengthen it. We're also moving the auxiliary spillway that protects the earthen embankment from overtopping. We're moving that to where the number 2 is, and raising the level where number 3 is, where the old auxiliary spillway was, that did a lot of nuisance flooding to the rec center in that area. So it's a major improvement to the dam, major reconstruction, and it's greatly needed.
Las mejoras de la presa del lago incluyen la línea amarilla que se ve en la orilla, es el desvío del sendero actual. Y después el número 1, que es donde se está trabajando ahora mismo, es el nuevo desagüe en el laberinto, que se instalará una estructura nueva para desembalsar más agua durante fuertes tormentas y también un puente que será útil para la planta de tratamiento de agua. El número 2, que es el terraplén principal, es el desagüe secundario y tendrá mejoras en la inclinación y en el reforzamiento. Y el número 3, que es el desagüe de emergencia, se agregará una berma para elevar el sendero y para agregar mejoras al parque.
So this is a photo of 2 siphons that are in place that we're using to help keep the lake level down a little bit, so the contractor can work there along the concrete edge of the spillway.
En esta imagen se muestra el descenso del nivel del lago y se muestran 2 sifones que fueron utilizados para bajar el nivel del agua y que se pudiera trabajar en el concreto.
So the existing spillway is shown in the photo on the left. That spillway is quite short for the kind of storms we're getting now, and we need to have more weir length to allow more water to pass through this narrow area. So that's why we're constructing a labyrinth weir, which is shown in the picture on the right. It provides more weir length and allows more water to pass over that length across the channel.
En la imagen de la izquierda vemos el desagüe principal, que es lo que existe actualmente, y es muy pequeño, por lo que vamos a construir uno como el de la imagen de la derecha, que es el desagüe del laberinto. Este desagüe tiene un área mayor, lo cual hace que más agua pueda pasar y pueda ser resistente a un flujo de agua mayor.
So a major component of this work is building the walls on the east side and west side of the spillway. And this is a remarkable construction that's already occurred out there. Our contractor is doing outstanding work. And we'll show a couple of photos of what we're doing right now. It's very interesting.
En esta imagen se muestran los refuerzos del muro del desagüe y del trabajo actual que está haciendo el contratista en el sitio, que están haciendo un gran trabajo. Y ahora enseñaremos unas fotografías del trabajo que se está llevando a cabo.
So to build these walls, what we're doing is we've drilled very large diameter, they're 50-inch diameter piles. We dig down very deep down to rock. Some of these piers are over 50 feet deep. So we dig down and tie the piers into rock. And the next stage, go ahead, Isabel, you can catch up with me on this one.
En esta imagen se muestra cómo es la instalación de los pilares para las paredes de la presa y se están haciendo con una profundidad de 15 pies.
The next thing we do is we lower the solids, the steel casing. You see them stacked up there in the picture on the left. They're lowered vertically down into that hole, all the way down, and they're bedded into the rock at the bottom. Some of them are over 50 feet long. So that's put into place.
El siguiente paso, después de hacer la perforación, se utiliza el revestimiento de acero que es insertado en donde se excavó anteriormente y estos pilares van a una profundidad de 15 pies.
No, es 50, Isabel, 50
Ah.
pies.
50,
Sí.
perdón.
Then we lower steel reinforcing steel cages. You see these like they kind of look like pipes, but they're very, very stout. That's number 14 rebar, which is quite large. And it is lowered down inside of the steel casing.
Después se utilizan estas vallas de acero reforzado que van dentro em, del revestimiento que se instaló anteriormente.
And also you'll notice in the picture on the left, the kind of wood pieces that kind of look like a crescent moon. That's called a blockout. And that is put down in the casing. And when concrete is poured, it prevents it forms a flat surface for the concrete, which is important for the wall that will be attached to these piles.
Y las pequeñas estructuras de madera que se observan en el acero reforzado ayudan para, una vez que se vierte el concreto, generar una superficie lisa y ayudan a finalizar el concreto.
So here they're adding high strength concrete to fill up the pier. And notice in this photo how close the piers are. They're right next to one another. This is very precise work. And the driller that did these piers is outstanding. And this is a type of workmanship that's occurring out there on the Bachman Dam. It's fantastic quality work. We couldn't be happier with what's happening.
En esta fotografía se ve cómo los pilares están siendo rellenados con concreto y como se puede observar, los pilares están perfectamente alineados el uno con el otro y en la distancia que tienen que estar y es una muestra del gran trabajo que se está llevando a cabo en el sitio.
So when it's done, it'll look like that. There'll be very stout sidewalls. There'll be these labyrinth weir notches that'll convey a lot of water.
Cuando el proyecto esté finalizado, se va a ver como en la imagen, con el desagüe en forma de laberinto.
So the earthen embankment component of the dam requires a lot of attention. We're going to be bringing in, I mentioned in the video that there'll be a lot of trucks coming in and out of the construction entrance. We're going to have many, many yards of fill brought in to change the slope on the dam to thicken it and to make it stronger. And so this area from the fence that's kind of on the left side all the way to the top, the slope will be very different when we're all said and done.
La construcción de la presa y de esta sección que es el terraplén es muy importante y parte de este trabajo va a ser reforzar la pendiente a través de diferentes materiales que van a utilizar para atenuar la pendiente y reforzarla.
We'll talk about the trail detour and improvements.
Vamos ahora a hablar del desvío y mejoras del sendero.
So during the trail detour work, we established this temporary trail, but the new trail shown in blue there will be on top of the dam. It'll be wide and it'll be nicely lit. And that curve that's coming down at the bottom of the photo there is an ADA compliant curve. It's not going to be as steep as the existing trail was that dropped down the slope that some people fell on. So it'll be a very nice walkable trail. We spent a lot of time and put a lot of thought into betterments elsewhere in the park, such as a beautiful sidewalk that was now crossing in front of the rec center, and also the corner of where Webb Chapel and Denton Drive meet. There's a nice new walking path that cuts the corner there for the public to make that corner safely.
Actualmente la línea amarilla muestra el sendero provisional que está siendo utilizado ahora mismo, pero cuando termine la construcción, la línea azul será el sendero final. Y este sendero tiene las mejoras de que va a ser más ancho y que la pendiente al final va a ser accesible y ADA compliant para reducir la pendiente y que no haya más accidentes.
So trail detour signs are out there. They're in place, directing the public on which way to go. This is a photo of that corner at Webb Chapel and Denton Drive that's in place. It turned out very well. This is a well-built, strong pathway that'll be there when we're done, and it'll stay in place. It's very nice.
Actualmente se encuentran diferentes señalamientos del parque sobre el desvío del sendero que se muestran en la imagen de la izquierda, y la imagen de la derecha muestra la construcción del sendero permanente que está siendo ensanchado de lo que actualmente es.
What is temporary is the northbound lane closure on Webb Chapel Extension. We were able to get approval to reduce that from 3 lanes northbound to 2, and we isolated that right lane there to widen that path for the public during the detour. The bus stops are in operation though. They remain.
La esquina de Webb Chapel Extension se redujo una acera de la calle para utilizar en la desviación del sendero, y las paradas del autobús siguen estando accesibles.
So the new trail that'll be on top of the dam will be a very nice standard parks spec type trail. It'll be much wider than the old one was, and there'll be very nice lighting along the top of the dam. So it'll be wider, the trail will be more accessible, and on each end of the trail, not on top of the dam, of course, because that's not allowed, but on each end of the trail, there will be extensive landscaping and trees planted that'll beautify the park in this area.
Las mejoras del sendero incluyen principalmente la ampliación del sendero, también hacerlo más accesible, y en las 2 puntas del sendero, que no están sobre la presa, habrá la plantación de nuevos árboles y nuevas plantas, y también se va a incluir la mejora de la iluminación del sendero.
So when we're done with the lighting, it'll look similar to this photo. That's the kind of lights that'll be put out there. They're downcast lights. They're very nice. And they'll be spaced, well spaced to provide good lighting on top of the dam for walkers at night.
Y cuando se finalicen el proyecto de la iluminación, las nuevas luces van a lucir parecidas a las de la imagen que se está presentando, perfectamente espaciadas para poder proveer buena iluminación al sendero.
So these are some QR codes. If you want to take a minute, you can use these to link to our project website and to get the e-newsletter for the project. We also have a website, bachmanlakedam.com, that you can visit that we're posting updates on the job.
Y pueden utilizar este código QR para mantenerse al día y suscribirse al boletín electrónico y estar al día con lo que está pasando en el proyecto. Y también está la página de internet que es bachmanlakedam.com, donde pueden visitar y conocer más del proyecto.
So here's our other links there. We're on Facebook and Twitter or X, bachmanlakedam.com. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@bachmanlakedam.com and we'll be happy to respond.
Y estas son las ligas de las diferentes plataformas de redes sociales que tenemos y la página de internet. Y si tienen alguna pregunta, nos pueden enviar un correo a info@bachmanlakedam.com.
Are there any questions?
¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta?
Mark, this is Susanna. Just wanted to congratulate you and Isabel on a fantastic presentation and for keeping us so well informed on the project. Those piers looked amazing, and I totally agree with you. That is an amazing quality of workmanship. And we're very excited with the progress that's been made from the dredging to the dam reconstruction, and we look forward in a couple years to celebrate a ribbon cutting with you guys.
Indeed. Thank you, Susanna. And I just want to point out too that we are on schedule. The contractor is right where they said they would be. We have not had to ask them to redo any work. We're so far so good, and they have a good plan. They have excellent equipment. They also have an excellent team, not only with their own workers, but also their subcontractors on the project are very good, such as a drilling company that's putting in the piers.
Thank you.
Mark, I have a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What happens to the wetland and the pond after the dam completion? Will they still be there?
Yes. This dam was built in 1901. And, just a little trivia here, the first gasoline-powered tractor was commercially available in 1906. So this dam was built with mules and horses and wagons and men with shovels. So when this dam was built, it was not built with a clay core like dams are today. So water does gradually seep through, and that is why that wetland is there in the first place, because did that since the beginning. So it will continue to do that. We are controlling that with a drainage trench that discharges into the wetland. Yes, to answer your question, the wetland will still be there.
Thank you. And do you foresee any plans for reconstruction for any of the, what I would call upstream spillways? I'm thinking specifically back in the Bluffview area neighborhood and such, there's a big spillway that comes in and then feeds into you. Do you know, are there any plans for doing anything with that?
I do not know the answer to that. It's not part of this project and certainly not part of the scope for the spillway reconstruction.
I just thought you may have had knowledge of, since
Yeah,
you're
I'm
dealing
sorry,
with
I
the
don't.
overall.
I
Okay,
don't know
thanks.
about that.
So I think we can stop sharing the presentation. And Joe, did you have any questions? Any other questions from Bachman Northwest Highway?
Are there any other questions? Anyone? I guess just Mark, I mean, we maybe discussed this before. I know that there are light poles going to be installed in the dam. You just kind of illustrated a rendering of future light poles. I guess have there been any talks around shading on the dam or any type of like shade fixtures, something to provide kind of just protection from the sun on that portion of the trail?
Well, unfortunately, Joe, we're prohibited from any type of tree planting that would provide natural shade. That's prohibited by TCEQ to have trees in the dam itself. We don't have shade structures, but perhaps that's something that, the Parks Department could consider in the future as some type of design for that. The auxiliary spillway for the dam is right in the middle of the earthen embankment. And occasionally, when there's a very, very extreme rain events, water will pass over that auxiliary spillway. So we really wouldn't want any structures along that stretch there that could catch logs or, debris and things. So at this point, no.
Anyone else?
But for the other sections, just for clarification, Mark, if we are able to work with the Parks Department or raise funds to do a match with Parks for some type of shade structures, we would obviously work with DWU. But if there are spots, be that going up or wherever you guys would approve, that some shade could be applied, not where you said the emergency flow would be. Is that something that could be considered in the future or anyways, just
I suppose so. It depends what it is. And, if you're talking about building like a gazebo or a picnic pavilion or something like that,
no,
we could not build that on the slope of the dam.
no.
But, off to the sides, possibly. There are going to be, when the skate park goes in place, of course, that's going to be very nice over there. There will be other new things for the public in the area very soon.
Yes. Okay. Susanna, do you want to introduce our next guest?
Thank you, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you,
so
Mark.
much.
And thank you, Isabel.
Thank you.
Yes, we have and Estela. I'm sorry, I missed you there. And Robin or Janet, I'm sorry. David and Vincent are joining us from the aviation department. I'm going to turn it over to them for introductions.
Good evening. So this is just Vincent Lewis. David will not be able to join us today as he had surgery this past week, so he'll be out. So it'll just be my.
Can you put your video on, Vincent?
Hold on for a second. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let me see if I can share my screen and start the presentation.
Vincent, Joe, is Vincent set up as co-host by any chance?
He is not, but he does have. Vincent, you can share your screen. Go ahead, try again.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Can you see it?
I cannot do it.
Oh.
Maybe try one more time.
Let me close it and try and do it again.
There we go. I can see it now.
Okay. All right. So again, Vincent Lewis with the City of Dallas Department of Aviation. I'm the interim assistant director over capital development. And let me go to my next slide to kind of, I'm going to present on the Lemon Avenue Streetscape project, kind of give you a project overview, the current status of it, kind of talk through the progress and where we stand and show you some of the progress pictures that we have for the project. And then I'm going to show you the schedule going forward for Lemon Avenue. From there, I will transition into the Love Field Master Plan project that we're working on with the consulting firm, give you some of the background and history of the project and where we stand, some areas of opportunity that we're considering here at the airport and around, in and around Love Field, and some of the aviation and trends and influences that we're looking at as we consider the master plan, and then walk you through some of the current master plan activities, early action items, and master plan outreach that we have, and then go through some of the next steps. I'll try to remember to pause to make sure that the translation can be updated as well. So here's a rendering of the Lemon Avenue Streetscape project. On the far south side at Mockingbird and Lemon Avenue, that is the primary gateway feature that we're going to be working on in that triangular space here in the median space was that Airdrome Drive, Lemon Avenue, and Mockingbird. That will be the primary gateway feature. The second gateway feature will be at the Lemon Avenue and Shorecrest intersection on the far north side. Along with that project, along as part of the project, you have the neighborhood park along what's this Adrian Drive that's going to be considered, as well as George Kirker Circle will be creating an observation deck as part of the project to provide another feature for the neighboring residents. Right now, you are in the current status here at Lemon Avenue. If you have been out there along Lemon Avenue, you can see that there's a temporary lane closure when construction is being taken. So the temporary lane closure is only during working hours. When the working hours close, they reopen that lane for traffic. But you can see right now, trail number 3 that they're working on is currently under demo. And I think if you look on the left side of this slide, you can see there's demo and grading of the trail. It's going to take a couple days. You have the stone placement and compaction, then the framing and rebar and reinforcement installation. From there, they'll pour the concrete for the trail. It'll take about a day. They'll saw cut some of the pavement and removing some of the forms, then the core framing and pouring of the concrete and light bases. So they're probably about 35% of the way along this phase of the project. As you can see, the highlighted in the blue section is the trail itself. The temporary lane closure is with the orange hash in the white space. And you can kind of see the construction work limits is in the green boundary of the project. The next couple of slides, I'm going to show you a couple of renderings of the Lemon Avenue as it's progressing.
Vincent, this is Susanna. Were the
Yes.
trees in that parking lot, the Sewell parking lot, cut for this section?
That's correct.
So we were receiving before this meeting, and Michael and I received an email. Michael responded to it. People very concerned about the trees being cut. Maybe at the end of the presentation, you can give us an update on how things will be re-landscaped. I mean, I'm sure it's in your presentation already, but thank you.
Absolutely. I'll give you an update on that. Absolutely. So right here, you can see just some of the updated of the Lemon Avenue, where they've kind of doing some of the demo along Lemon Avenue. This is coming up to, what is that? I forget the name of the intersection.
Lovers.
That looks like Lovers.
Yes, it's almost at Lovers. That's correct. And then you can see the progression as they've kind of made some of the new pavement that's been poured. This next slide is going to show you kind of the progress that they've made from Shorecrest going towards Mockingbird. This is a recent aerial that was taken about 2 months ago. You can see all of the new pavement along Lemon Avenue from Shorecrest. And so they've been making pretty much really good headway. We have a couple major milestones that's coming up after this that they're going to start like in July, which I'll talk through. So I'm going to give you kind of a schedule going forward of what to expect of this project. So right now, they're currently working at the Sewell Trail work. They anticipating completing that in July. One of the biggest parts of this project is the MSC wall along Shorecrest. They're going to start that mid-June, and you can see the timeline they anticipating finishing it at the end of October. This will impact the security fence of the airport in itself. So we're working with airside operations, airfield maintenance, and air traffic control. They're all going to be significantly impacted by this because we're going to basically be excavating the existing wall, putting up a wall, kind of a larger scale retaining wall, like that you see on a highway, and then replacing it with the new security fence. The primary gateway they anticipate starting at the end of July and going into January of next year. So that's one of the major features. Now, on the primary gateway, one of the things that I wanted to point out is that because it's close to a runway, and that a lot of aircrafts come in across Mockingbird and Lemon in that space, we had to submit to the FAA the height restrictions that we're going to propose, even just in using certain equipment in that space and the proposed light poles that we're going to use in that space because of the restriction of the airlines that come in and out along Mockingbird over Lemon Avenue and Mockingbird space. From then, we're going to continue a lot of the trail work south on Lemon towards Mockingbird, beginning early June through the end of July. So that is for the most part Lemon Avenue. Now, to touch on what Susanna brought up was the tree removal. So we cut down, I think, if I remember correct, 126 trees. We're planning on planting 216 in its place, and that's along the entire trail alignment. Part of that understanding was when we brought this to the neighborhoods was that we shared the proposed trail alignment, and we also made sure they understood that will require some of the trees being cut down. We didn't, and as we tried to minimize as best we could, but we tried to kind of keep it as straight as possible and with a slight meander just to kind of make it more trail friendly and keep it as far as we could away from the traveling vehicles as well. During this entire design process, we had like good neighbor programs where we spoke to the neighborhood and we had them provide input as we proceeded through the design process. So we had continuous outreach. We even had design charrettes where they could provide input during the duration of the design of the project before we awarded it to construction. So I think personally, I believe that sometimes it was lost in the attendance. So, you have those that are always in attendance for the Good Neighbor program, and you have those that don't attend. And I think because the ones that did not attend, they were not aware of the magnitude of the, trees that will be impacted by the project. So I think that's what we kind of, dropped the ball on our end, that we probably should have done a lot more outreach. But I think that most of them got the Good Neighbor program notifications. They just didn't come in attendance. And so during the design charrettes throughout the design, a lot of those people that had concerns about the trees were not in attendance. So it's almost unfortunate because we're playing backup and trying to catch, bring them up to speed on the project.
So Vincent,
Susanna,
is there a landscape design that
yes,
airport can make available to the neighborhood?
absolutely.
Because all that we have seen, at least on the updates that I've seen in Good Neighbor program, tend to be kind of the higher level design, like the one that you showed. And it really is not a landscape design. It doesn't indicate the types of trees that are going to be replanted, where exactly those are going to go. Are you going to be adding any other native plants and wildflowers or grasses or,
absolutely.
It's very,
I can
great
provide
for
the actual plan itself.
Yeah, if there's a landscape plan with the details on the plants and the trees, I think that would help us communicate, help you guys communicate also out to the
Right.
community, how, you know, the 160 trees that are lost, which by the way, caliper of the tree makes a difference. So
Right.
you might have a 100-year-old tree that is, it has a lot more CO2 capture capacity than the
Right.
5-year-olds that are going to be planted. So, and you know what? We don't want just a bunch of crepe myrtles.
Right. Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
need trees that will provide shade to address the heat cone in the area. So, yeah. So if you can send us the landscape plan so we can share that out, that'd be great.
I'm taking a note of that right now.
Thanks so much.
So, no problem. So let me transition into the Love Field master plan that we're working on now. So just to give you a little background history, as far as the Love Field master plan, we had to identify the terminal was not analyzed in the 2015
Excuse me,
master plan.
Vincent.
Yes.
Vincent, before you swap over and such. So one of the things that we're interested in, and I'm sure a lot of people are, is when do you expect the Lemon Avenue to, shall we say, be completed? When is the ribbon cutting?
The completion
That
date.
sort of thing.
Okay, absolutely. The completion is June of 25. So probably depending on if the contractor stays on schedule, if he finishes ahead of schedule, if it's June, I'm thinking April, May of 25, but I'll confirm that date. But the anticipated completion date is June of 25.
And so far is the thinking that you're going to have as I say, a ribbon cutting, a big
Correct.
event.
Yes.
Describe
It'll be a
what's.
notification. And so it will probably be a notification through the Good Neighbor program, I'm assuming. But if not, I'll definitely keep in touch with Susanna and keep her updated.
Because I think that many of us see this as a real important opportunity to not only celebrate the completion and the improvement to the area, but really as a variety of potential events to I don't know, encourage neighborhoods to get together, people
Right.
coming out, picnics, a
Absolutely.
race, a variety of different things.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure that I take a note of that, and I'll check with the director and see if when we anticipate doing a ribbon cutting, and I'll make sure that we're distributing that information out through the Good Neighbor program, as well as, like I said, I'll touch bases with Susanna to kind of make sure I keep her in a loop. So if someone is missing it from the Good Neighbor program directly, Susanna can at least let you guys know at the Bachman community of the timeline.
The reason that I bring it up especially is that it's probably not too early to really begin thinking and talking and planning about
Right.
these sort of things, in part because if we wanted to get some corporate sponsorship. I'll just make something up. Let's say we run a 5K race,
Mhm.
to incorporate, or a bike ride or something like that. Well, we may want to approach Sewell as an example to say,
Right.
would you like to be an underwriter of the race? Well, they've got their processes and such like that
Right.
to approval and money and things. And having just looked at their website, that's a several months long process. So
Right.
this really would be something that I think it would be important to begin talking about now, and at least envisioning and seeing who's interested, and to allow us to really
Absolutely.
celebrate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll try and get some better dates, and I'll talk to my director. And like you said, if I can, I will try to start reaching out, because we actually coordinate with Sewell a lot, because we're, like, of course, directly right in front of them right now. So I'll definitely make sure I touch base with them as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Anytime. So as I mentioned, the terminal wasn't analyzed in the 2015 master plan due to ongoing Love Field master planning projects that we had. Since 2014, October, the Wright Amendment was repealed. Passenger levels have nearly doubled. So the terminal level of service, the restroom, the whole rooms, the baggage claim. There's been a lot of growth on Mockingbird. Of course, you probably know the medical district, etc. Landside dynamics affected, after COVID, so all of those things, the proximity to the park, etc., economic driving, the concessions, parking, all of those things are being considered in this master plan that we're looking at right now. The ingress, the egress of the world, the rental cars, the terminal hub, all of those things are coming into play on while we're looking at the master plan. And then as one of the things, when we have an airport, you're supposed to do a master plan every, I think, 8 to 10 years. And so since we hadn't done anything since 2015, it was about that time that we started this back up. So this right here, the master plan, it shows kind of our areas of opportunity that we consider. You have the general aviation, FBOs and MROs along the north side of the airport, and some on the south side and a little bit towards the center. Then you have specifically the terminal itself. And then we're going to look at anything that's landside, which is Herb Kelleher Way, particularly, and any of the space in between, be it the parking garages, how we can improve on those, as well as the entry road in itself. We try to establish a strategic roadmap to balance the terminal, the airside, and landside components all as one as part of this master plan itself. So one of the things, like I mentioned earlier, is that, you have different places, pre-COVID, pre the Wright Amendment as well. These are all things that we can, have to think about. A lot of change in the industry. Some of the things can happen to, have facility consequences. Like if you look at the terminal, particularly itself, we want to improve the level of service, of course, as always. You have social distancing influences that we've had. The load factors and higher aircraft seat capacities that, as Southwest improves and increase the aircraft sizes. We have emphasis on technology and innovation that impacts the projects. Planned spaces to be multi-use transition spaces. We want to enhance our concessions, because you have sometimes some of the concession spaces that we have there aren't necessarily being utilized as frequently as others. So we always try to look at ways that we can improve. And if somebody's not, making the sales that they want to make, is it something because of the facility and how it looks at the concession areas, or is it something that, people just aren't interested in? They want to do more healthier items to consider. When you're looking at the land side, we're looking at the curbside allocation. If it's a scarce resource, as we know, we're confined to a very small space in relationship to other airports. And just take note that Love Field is largest medium-sized hub airport in the nation. We're always looking at parking technologies, reservation systems that we're considering, variable pricing. We've added some EV charging stations in one of the garages, and we're considering adding on other floors. We're also looking at electrical vehicles, for the city in itself, at least for the Department of Aviation. Autonomous vehicles, of course, have always been on the radar. It's being, picking up more steam. And then we're looking at the rental car studies as a whole. One of the things we've been looking at, we've been talking to all the rental car facilities of potentially putting a Conrack facility where, you have a consolidated rental car location. They all, of course, prefer to be on Herb Kelleher Way, but that may not necessarily be feasible after we've done this study. So we're looking at properties on site of Love Field as well as outside of Love Field, maybe to potentially looking at the Love Connection itself or some other proximity that is not too far from Love Field as a whole.
Hey, Vincent,
Sorry.
this is Susanna.
ma'am.
Joe, is there a time check for Vincent? Joe?
I'll try and wrap up shortly. I have about 3 more slides.
Okay, all righty.
I'll try and speed up a little bit and open up for questions. So just want to give you guys a current status of where we are right now. We're in the early action items. We're actually looking at the demand capacity and the requirements for the projects, and just looking at what the traveling public wants when they come into Love Field, and be it coming into the entry road, Herb Kelleher Way itself, or just, drop off at the terminal, the TNC parking, all of those things right now. And then early action, like I mentioned, parking facility, consolidating the rental cars, any air traffic. We're also considering relocation of the air traffic control tower. It's one of our major things to consider, trying to be more efficient in our space planning, concessions and improvement, as I mentioned before. And then the baggage handling system. Right now, it's an outdated system. We know we have to make some improvements. It's just a matter of what improvements and to what extent. It may be a $750,000 project versus a $10 million project and do major upgrades. This is just showing a map of where we are schedule wise. Right now, if you can see, we're in May. You look at green 2, like I mentioned, we're in the demand capacity and the requirements. And when we go into June, you have 3 items that are being the early development, opportunity zones. You have the demand capacity and requirements and early development opportunity. And you have the new blue, the forecasting and demand capacity. And so the last slide I have, we're going to do a transportation committee terminal area master plan update number 2, conceptual development in June. It's going to more than likely be late June because of the time where we're at right now, and we have council and everything. And then we're going to do the forecasting assumptions, and then we're going to have a public workshop probably in August. With that, I'll open it up. I know I ran a little bit over, but hopefully I'll try to give you as much as I could.
No, it's been a great update. Thank you so much, Vincent. I have just a quick question about the public workshop in August, and
Yes.
or maybe more of an offer. Please let us know when you send out the information for that, and we'll also help get the word out for it.
Okay, I'm taking a note.
Yeah. And you can stop sharing your presentation and we'll go back to.
I think I did.
Oh, okay. It's still on.
Yeah,
Oh,
Well,
is it?
we can still see it.
Okay. Let me see.
I think you have to go to the Zoom.
Okay.
Do the stop sharing there.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Perfect. So Joe, back to you if there's any questions.
Well, I mean, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lewis?
I just wanted to comment also. So hi, my name is Phoebe Garcia with Bachman Lake Together. So I've worked with Rosalind Dickerson before.
Mhm.
So whenever you have information about those public workshops or something, you can just tell her to email me and I can share it with the community. We have a really big platform called Signalvine, and we can send texts to people and limit it to 75220 residents. So if that's helpful, we can definitely.
What was your name again?
Phoebe Garcia. Let me put my email in the chat.
Okay. So, but you've worked with Rosalind, so I'll make sure I
Yes.
know. Okay. I'll touch base with Rosalind.
Thank you. Let me.
Any other questions?
I see it. I'm writing it down now.
Thank you.
Susanna, do you have any other questions for Mr. Lewis?
No.
Okay.
No, not this time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for joining us. Running a little over time, so I guess what I want to do at this time is just jump into our open forum portion of the meeting. If anyone has any kind of just updates for the benefit of the community, upcoming events, anything like to share with our neighbors, now is the time to share.
Thank you, Joe. I just wanted to, and thank you to the presenters as well. I just wanted to share, I know that Better Block was talked about in a previous meeting. June 1st, we will have that event at our Bachman Lake Together Family Center. It's a free open community event. We're going to have vendors and entertainment, and it's just going to be like a really fun day for us to celebrate the transformation that we're having of our parking lot with Better Block. But we also do have a need for volunteers before the event. So I just want to share the volunteer link in the chat in case anyone is available to support us in building and finalizing the design for that project. All of the structures are designed with an interlocking mechanism, so there's no like tools needed or anything like that. But if you could just please sign up. I know the Dallas Stars have signed up, and we have some other people coming out to the Dallas Stars Foundation, and some other people have signed up to come help us before June 1st to kind of finalize the design. So please feel free to share with your friends and family members and anyone else in the community who would like to be a part of this project.
So Phoebe, the setup is a couple days before. I just want to make sure I understand. And at what time does the event start on June 1st?
The event is from 11 to 3.
And the setup would be like Friday or?
Yes, I believe it's Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or Thursday and Friday. Let me make sure. So the sign up times and days are there, but let me just confirm. Yes, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They have different shifts. So there will be an evening shift and a morning shift for each of those days. So the morning shift for June 1st will be from 9 to 11. That's before the event. And then we have like the event assistants from 11 to 3, which is the runtime of the event. And then there will be like a cleanup crew opportunity from 3 to 5.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Cool. Awesome. Excited.
Yeah.
Other announcements.
Well, I wanted to thank everybody who voted for the bond, Joe.
Go ahead.
So thank you. If you got out and voted, we had the largest allocation ever for parks, and Bachman is getting just parks and transportation will definitely be benefiting the Bachman area. Michael and Joe worked on a blog post on our website. You can see the details there of the projects that we should be able that have been listed and targeted for our area in Bachman. The next Neighbors in the Know, we're hoping will be September, and we'll have the Department of Transportation as well as parks attending so that they can give us an update on the projects that are in progress, like the skate park, which Mark mentioned earlier, but then also projects that would be upcoming in the future as a result of the 2024 bond.
Yeah. Awesome. And then that is the Neighbors in the Know is when Bachman Northwest Highway Community Association partners with Friends of Bachman Lake to host a meeting. Our next meeting here with the Bachman Northwest Highway Community Association is June 10th, the second Monday of the month at 6 p.m. So you'll get a reminder of that here at the start of the month, and then again the day before or the morning of. Any other announcements? Okay, doesn't seem like it. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Susanna, Michael, everyone who helped coordinate with Dallas Water Utilities and Department of Aviation to get them here. Much appreciated. If there is nothing else, then I will wish you all a good night. Go Mavericks, go Stars.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye, Phoebe.
Good night. Thank you.